summer of 2025 was supposed to set the stage for America's grand return to the world's biggest sporting spotlight. The World Cup was coming back for the first time in more than 3 decades, promising packed arenas, record-breaking tourism, and a celebration meant to showcase more than just the sport itself. But instead of triumph, a shock decision sent ripples across the globe. FIFA announced that a significant share of the tournament would be shifted north, away from American cities and into Canadian hands. The reason wasn't poor infrastructure or unprepared stadiums, it was politics. Billions of dollars in projected revenue disappeared overnight, along with the prestige of hosting what should have been a historic moment. Tight visa restrictions, steep entry fees, and sweeping travel bans left fans around the world feeling shut out. Airlines cut back campaigns, major sponsors grew hesitant, and FIFA faced a question it couldn't ignore. What happens if the crowds never arrive? While Washington tangled itself in policies that pushed visitors away, Ottawa positioned itself as open, reliable, and ready to deliver. By mid-August, the decision was sealed behind closed doors in Geneva, and Canada walked away with a massive share of the spotlight. So now, the tournament once seen as America's victory lap has become a story of loss. How did politics overshadow the game itself? And more importantly, what does this shift mean for the future of America's global influence? The World Cup was always meant to prove that sport could bridge divides that politics could not. It was supposed to be the one event where borders softened, rivalries paused, and the world gathered under one anthem. Yet in 2025, it was politics that shattered that promise. It began in Washington July 10th. The Trump administration expanded its travel ban to 12 countries, among them Nigeria, Iran, Venezuela, and Egypt. The ruling was absolute, no exceptions. Overnight, millions of fans were erased from the guest list of what should have been the century's greatest sporting celebration. The following week, the blow deepened. A $250 visa fee was slapped onto travelers from every non-waiver nation. For a South American family of 4, that meant $1,000 in paperwork before even booking flights, hotels, or tickets. Add those costs together, and the price of attending a single match started to resemble a mortgage payment rather than a dream vacation. American embassies buckled under the strain. In Lagos, interview wait times ballooned past 300 days. In New Delhi, it stretched to 240. In Istanbul, 200. The tournament was less than a year away. Fans who applied in good faith would never even see their appointments before the opening whistle. And as demand collapsed, the ripple effects reached American cities that had banked everything on the tourism surge. In New Jersey and Dallas, organizers quietly scaled back summer. Festivals, international food expos, and concerts meant to surround the matches. What was envisioned as a carnival of nations was shrinking into a gated gathering, accessible to only those with time, privilege, and deep pockets. For millions across the world, the message seemed unmistakable. America had promised a festival of openness, but delivered a fortress of fees, paperwork, and walls. That contradiction struck at the heart of the event. Because the World Cup is not only about goals and trophies, it is about the father in Senegal who dreamed of watching his son's hero in person. It is about the teacher in Tehran hoping to see her national team on foreign soil. It is about the children in Caracas who longed to feel the world's eyes on their city's colors. Instead, they found themselves shut out, blocked not by distance, but by policy. What could have been a chance for connection turned into another story of exclusion. And for many, the question became unavoidable. When did America stop being a host and start becoming a gatekeeper? As immigration hurdles mounted, another problem emerged that struck at the foundations of the spectacle itself. In Detroit, June 2025, construction crews at Ford Field stood idle. Steel shipments from Ontario were stuck at customs, trapped behind new inspection rules, and a 35% tariff increase signed only months earlier. LED displays from South Korea sat in port, waiting for clearance under heightened screening protocols. The plan had been ambitious. Smart stadiums, immersive fan zones, interactive seating, AI-powered entry gates. But when supply chains cracked, dreams gave way to compromise. In Atlanta, Houston, Seattle, and other host cities, blueprints were cut down. Imported stadium chairs were replaced by cheaper domestic versions. Retractable roofs were scrapped. Modular concert stages were trimmed. What had been sold as the most technologically advanced World Cup in history was slowly unraveling into a patchwork of scaled-down fixes. Behind closed doors, organizers whispered the only priority left: cut the fan experience, but save the match schedule. And every time something was cut, something else was lost. Not only quality, but credibility. Meanwhile, across the border, Canada moved with quiet efficiency. Without tariffs or trade blockades, construction surged ahead. Vancouver upgraded the roof at BC Place. Toronto's transit system integrated FIFA's digital fan pass months early. Montreal's tech zone was fully operational before August. The contrast was striking. One country was still plugging gaps, the other was already polishing the finish. And the lesson was clear: when trade becomes a weapon, progress becomes the casualty. For the United States, the consequences spread far beyond cement and steel. Tariffs intended to shield domestic industries were now strangling the very stage meant to showcase American leadership. Stadiums shrank, deadlines slipped, and reputations that had taken decades to build cracked under the weight of bureaucracy. The deeper question began to surface: how could a nation hope to lead the world if it could not finish its own stage? And then came the final blow. July 2025, Dubai. Emirates Airlines, one of FIFA's longtime partners, released a statement that startled the industry. $15 million of sponsorship, originally earmarked for American host cities, was being rerouted to Canada. Their explanation was measured: concerns about logistical uncertainty, immigration barriers, and unpredictable regulations. But behind the diplomatic language was a harsher truth. Hosting in the US had become too risky, too unstable. Other corporations followed. Visa reduced its American campaigns and invested more heavily in Toronto and Mexico City. Adidas shifted millions from Los Angeles and Miami into activations in Vancouver, Montreal, and Guadalajara. Their reasoning was simple: those markets offered clarity, openness, and security of delivery. What vanished from American cities was not only corporate dollars, but trust. For Kansas City, Houston, and Atlanta, the consequences were immediate. Sponsorships had been the backbone of local budgets. They were meant to cover infrastructure upgrades, transit subsidies, and heightened security. With those funds evaporating, entire financial plans crumbled. Hiring froze. Marketing campaigns were scrapped. Tourism industries braced for empty rooms and unfilled restaurants. Behind closed doors, planners called it financial triage. Hosting obligations were being renegotiated downward. Fewer events, smaller fan zones, tighter schedules. A grand continental festival was being rewritten in real time, reduced to something far smaller than promised. And all the while, Canada reaped the rewards. Sponsorship dollars poured north. FIFA signage was reallocated. Airlines rerouted promotional flights. Ottawa did not need to fight for the spotlight. Washington had dimmed its own. When businesses, the most pragmatic players in global affairs, start pulling their money, it is no longer politics. It is economics, and economics rarely lies. What the world saw as chaos, FIFA had already prepared for. In Zurich, June 2025, inside headquarters, a sealed file labeled Contingency Protocol 3A was pulled from the shelf. Its contents were not rumor, but a fully executable plan to shift matches from the United States to Canada and Mexico within 90 days. The drills had been run, ticket reallocations tested, international flight packages modeled, volunteer rosters, referee assignments, broadcaster contingencies, all simulated and ready. FIFA knew which Canadian hotels could absorb overflow, which Mexican stadiums met broadcast standards, which telecoms could handle the bandwidth. They had built not an idea, but an insurance policy. And in leaked memos, officials no longer referred to it as a possibility. They called it a timeline. The question was no longer if America would lose matches. It was how many and how soon. Yet in many American host cities, the severity of the situation remained hidden. Miami, Seattle, Los Angeles, planners still clung to the hope that the worst was behind them. But in Montreal, in Vancouver, in Guadalajara, hotels were already quietly rebooking room blocks. Transportation authorities were rehearsing new traffic patterns. Even catering contracts had been pre-cleared. While the US tried to keep up appearances, Canada and Mexico were preparing to carry the weight. Because when global institutions lose confidence in reliability, they do not debate. They adjust. America still had the stadiums, but FIFA had taken the wheel, and the turn had already been made. So the story of World Cup 2026 is not one of missed deadlines or broken promises alone. It is the story of an institution that no longer trusted the United States to deliver and prepared for failure, because it had no choice. This wasn't a surprise. It was a backup plan, carefully built, quietly tested, and now fully in motion. While the US struggles with red tape and reputational damage, two neighbors have been moving with quiet precision. Canada, known for calm diplomacy on the surface, has been executing every detail with sharp accuracy behind the scenes. Vancouver's BC Place stands fully FIFA certified, upgraded and climate controlled, seamlessly linked to transit. In Toronto, the stadium has been expanded and modernized, with more than 30,000 hotel rooms ready within a short drive. Immigration policy is streamlined, with over 50 countries enjoying visa-free entry and most others processed in days, not months. To FIFA, it looks like predictable logistics. To sponsors, it feels like safe ground. To fans, it comes across as welcoming. And appearances matter. In 2026, America risks showing the opposite. And if nothing changes, the World Cup will stand as more than a financial setback. It will mark the turning point when global attention shifted away from Washington and toward new centers of influence. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.